Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today to talk about a topic that is very close to my heart, a topic that we often don't acknowledge, but it affects each one of us in ways we don't even realize: toxic competition. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt as though you were constantly racing against someone else? Like every step you take, someone is already ahead, pushing you to do more, be more, achieve more, sometimes at any cost. Well, that is what toxic competition feels like. It's not about personal growth or progress. It's not about uplifting each other or learning from one another. It's about one thing winning at the expense of your peace, your well-being, and even your self-worth. In this world, we are often told that competition is the key to success. We are told that in order to climb higher, we must compete fiercely, even ruthlessly. But here's the truth that no one tells you: not all competition is healthy, and not all races are worth running. Toxic competition plants seeds of insecurity. It convinces us that we are never enough, no matter how much we accomplish. It tells us that someone else's success diminishes our own. We start measuring ourselves by comparing our journey to someone else's and forget that our path is unique, beautiful, and worthy. But let me tell you, my friends, your worth is not defined by someone else's race. Your value is not dependent on the trophies you collect or the status you attain. True success is not about outrunning someone, it's about racing against your own limitations, growing, evolving, and reaching the heights you once thought were impossible for you. When we focus on toxic competition, we forget the beauty of collaboration, of supporting each other. Imagine a world where we celebrated each other's strengths instead of tearing each other down for our weaknesses. Imagine a world where our wins are not isolated but shared, where lifting someone else up only elevates us all. The truth is, there will always be someone ahead of you, someone who has more, someone who seems to be doing better, but that does not mean you are behind. It does not mean you have failed. The only person you should ever try to outdo is the person you were yesterday. Strive to be better, not because of someone else, but because of the dreams inside you, the spark that resides within. Toxic competition thrives on comparison. But we are not meant to be the same. Each of us brings something special to the table. Don't let the shadows of others' achievements dim the light that's meant to shine from within you. The only race worth running is the one that leads you to your own best self. So let us break free from the chains of toxic competition. Let us stop measuring our worth based on someone else's timeline or their version of success. Instead, let us define success on our own terms. Let's lift each other up. Celebrate every victory, big or small, as a triumph for all of us, because when one of us wins, we all win together. Toxic competition, in its essence, cultivates a mindset that revolves around constant comparison and a feeling of inadequacy. It creates an environment where personal worth is measured not by one's own progress or achievements, but by the successes of others. This sense of insecurity is pervasive, and it manifests in various aspects of our lives, whether it's in our professional careers, academic achievements, social media presence, or even within our personal relationships. The root of toxic competition lies in its ability to distort how we perceive ourselves. We live in a world where success is often portrayed as a finite resource, something that must be earned by outdoing others. When we are constantly looking at others, evaluating their accomplishments, we begin to define our own success through the lens of someone else's achievements. This comparison is where insecurity takes root. It's as though we are forever in someone else's shadow, unable to escape the feeling that no matter how much we do, it will never be enough. In the workplace, this manifests in the race to climb the corporate ladder, often at the expense of personal fulfillment and well-being. People find themselves working tirelessly to secure promotions, accolades, or recognition, sometimes sacrificing their mental and physical health along the way. The pressure to outshine colleagues can create a toxic environment where collaboration takes a backseat to competition. In this race, the focus shifts from contributing meaningfully to the organization to merely securing one's position above others. The more people are fixated on surpassing their peers, the less they focus on their own growth and contributions. It is no longer about doing the best job possible, it's about doing better than the next person. In academic settings, toxic competition is equally prevalent. Students often feel the need to outperform their classmates to secure a spot at top universities, earn scholarships, or receive prestigious awards. This creates a mindset where success is measured solely by the grades on a report card or the number of accolades a student has accumulated. Students begin to see their peers not as collaborators or fellow learners, but as rivals to beat. This constant need to prove oneself against others can lead to a range of negative outcomes, from burnout to a lack of genuine passion for learning. The focus becomes so heavily on winning that the true purpose of education, knowledge acquisition, and personal growth gets lost. Social media has further amplified this issue as it offers a constant stream of curated content that often presents an unrealistic picture of success. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing your real life to the highlight reels of others. The carefully constructed personas we see online, perfect families, exotic vacations, professional success, serve as benchmarks that are nearly impossible to live up to. The more we scroll, the more we begin to feel like we're falling behind. Social media turns toxic competition into a never-ending race, where the finish line keeps moving further and further away, leaving us in a constant state of dissatisfaction. In these digital spaces, it's easy to forget that what is shared online is only a fraction of the full picture. Behind every perfectly staged photo or success story, there are untold struggles, failures, and moments of doubt that rarely make it to the public eye. Toxic competition also takes root in personal relationships, where comparison can strain friendships, partnerships, and family dynamics. The idea that one person's success must somehow diminish another's is incredibly damaging. Whether it's a sibling rivalry or the need to one-up a close friend, the pressure to always be doing better than those around us creates unnecessary tension. In these situations, love and support give way to resentment and jealousy. Rather than celebrating each other's accomplishments, we begin to view them as threats to our own sense of self-worth. Over time, this can erode the foundation of trust and mutual respect that healthy relationships are built upon. Toxic competition in relationships often leads to isolation as people start to withdraw from others who they perceive as more successful or accomplished. The insecurity that arises from toxic competition is not just an emotional or psychological issue, it can have tangible effects on our physical health as well. The constant stress of trying to keep up with others takes a toll on the body, leading to increased levels of anxiety, depression, and even physical ailments such as headaches, colds, fatigue, or sleep disturbances. It's easy to underestimate how harmful the pressure to compete can be on our well-being. The feeling of never being enough no matter what we do can cause chronic stress, which in turn affects our immune system, mental health, and overall quality of life. Toxic competition also distorts our understanding of success. In a world where we are conditioned to measure success by external markers, money, status, achievements, many of us lose sight of what truly brings us happiness and fulfillment. Success, as defined by the metrics of competition, often leaves little room for personal joy, contentment, or inner peace. We begin to chase hollow goals, ones that are defined by the standards of others rather than our own values. The result is a cycle of perpetual dissatisfaction, where no matter how many wins we accumulate, we never feel fulfilled. One of the key aspects of toxic competition is that it leads us to overlook the value of our unique journey. We are all on different paths with different timelines and experiences. Success for one person may look completely different for another. By focusing on someone else's journey, we lose sight of our own. We forget that the challenges, struggles, and setbacks that we face are part of the process that shapes who we are. Each person's path to success is individual, and the roadblocks they encounter are often necessary to build resilience and character. The more we compare ourselves to others, the less we appreciate the value of our own experiences and the lessons we have learned along the way. Toxic competition, at its core, makes us forget that we are not in competition with others. The only real competition is with ourselves, the desire to grow, to evolve, to improve. If we focus on becoming the best version of ourselves, rather than trying to outdo others, we can move forward with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. True success is not about beating someone else, it's about overcoming your own limitations, pushing past your own fears, and achieving what you once thought was impossible for you. In the end, the insecurity that toxic competition breeds is not just a feeling, it's a cycle that affects every aspect of our lives. It isolates us, divides us, and ultimately leaves us feeling empty. The only way to break free from this cycle is to shift our focus from others and their successes to our own personal growth. When we stop comparing and start appreciating our own journey, we can find peace in knowing that we are enough. Avoid measuring your worth against others because when we rely on comparisons to define our value, we lose sight of who we truly are and the unique qualities we possess. Society often teaches us to evaluate our success based on how we stack up against those around us, whether through material wealth, professional achievements, physical appearance, or social status. In this culture of constant comparison, it's easy to forget that our worth is not determined by the accomplishments of others, but by the intrinsic qualities we bring to the world. Measuring ourselves against others distorts our self-perception and leads to unnecessary stress, insecurity, and dissatisfaction. The idea of measuring worth by comparison begins early in life, and we are often taught to compete with others from a young age. Whether it's in school, sports, or even within our families, we are encouraged to excel and outperform those around us. While some competition can motivate us to strive for excellence, when it becomes the primary measure of success, it fosters a sense of inadequacy. No matter how much we achieve, there is always someone ahead of us, and that can create a constant feeling of falling short. This approach makes it incredibly difficult to appreciate our own progress because it becomes overshadowed by someone else's achievements. When we compare ourselves to others, we focus on their strengths and successes while often overlooking our own. We see their accomplishments, their seemingly perfect lives, and we begin to internalize the belief that we are not enough. This comparison creates a cycle of negativity where we constantly feel as if we are not measuring up. It chips away at our self-confidence and breeds feelings of envy, jealousy, and even resentment. Instead of celebrating our own growth and progress, we fixate on the perceived gaps between ourselves and others. In this mindset, success is no longer a personal journey but a race to be better than someone else, and this race has no finish line. What makes this comparison so damaging is that it ignores the unique circumstances and journeys that shape each individual. Everyone is on their own path with different experiences, challenges, and opportunities. What success looks like for one person may be entirely different for another. Comparing ourselves to others disregards the fact that our life stories are different and that we are all navigating our own set of circumstances. The person you are comparing yourself to may have faced different struggles, come from a different background, or have had opportunities that you haven't had access to. By measuring your worth against theirs, you fail to acknowledge the complexity of your own life and the different factors that contribute to your own journey. Moreover, comparison can lead to an unhealthy obsession with external validation. When we base our self-worth on how others perceive us or how we measure up against them, we place our value in the hands of external forces. We become reliant on the opinions of others, constantly seeking approval, praise, or recognition to feel good about ourselves. This dependence on validation can be exhausting and can leave us feeling empty when we don't receive the acknowledgement we crave. It is a never-ending cycle where the approval we seek never truly satisfies because it is fleeting and superficial. One of the most harmful aspects of measuring worth by comparison is the toll it takes on our mental and emotional well-being. When we are caught in the trap of comparison, we often experience feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, and anxiety. We may feel like we are falling behind or that we are not living up to the expectations set by others. This constant pressure to measure up can lead to stress, burnout, and even depression. We may also develop a distorted sense of self-worth, believing that we are only valuable if we achieve the same success or recognition as others. Instead of focusing on how we compare to others, we should shift our attention to our own journey and personal growth. True worth is not determined by external markers or the success of others, but by the way we show up in the world and the impact we make. Our value is found in the effort we put into becoming the best versions of ourselves, in the way we treat others, and in the kindness and compassion we offer. Measuring our worth against others only detracts from our ability to appreciate our own unique gifts and strengths. Every person has something valuable to contribute, and it is important to recognize and celebrate our own contributions, regardless of how they may compare to someone else's. A better approach is to focus on self-reflection and self-compassion. By taking the time to evaluate our own growth and progress, we can appreciate how far we've come without the need for comparison. This allows us to set our own standards for success based on what truly matters to us, rather than adopting someone else's definition of success. When we focus on our own development, we give ourselves the space to learn, grow, and evolve at our own pace. It's important to remember that success is not a race, it's a personal journey, and there is no one-size-fits-all blueprint for what that journey should look like. Self-compassion also plays a crucial role in breaking free from the cycle of comparison. When we are kind to ourselves, we give ourselves permission to make mistakes, to learn from them, and to grow at our own pace. We stop expecting perfection and recognize that setbacks and challenges are part of the process. Embracing this mindset allows us to move away from the constant pressure of trying to be better than someone else and instead focus on being the best version of ourselves. Another way to shift our perspective is to celebrate the achievements and successes of others without feeling threatened by them. When we stop measuring our worth against others, we can truly appreciate their accomplishments and use them as inspiration rather than sources of envy or jealousy. The success of others does not diminish our own potential, it is simply a reminder of what is possible when we work hard and stay committed to our goals. By celebrating the success of others, we create a positive and supportive environment where everyone can thrive. Ultimately, the key to finding fulfillment and contentment in our lives is to stop measuring our worth against others and start measuring it by the growth we achieve within ourselves. Our value is not determined by how we compare to those around us, but by the person we are becoming. When we stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward, we create a deeper sense of self-worth that is not dependent on external circumstances or the success of others. It's only by focusing on our own path that we can truly understand our worth and appreciate the unique journey that we are on. Toxic competition thrives in environments where comparison and rivalry are prioritized over collaboration, and it can have damaging effects on our mental, emotional, and social well-being. In such environments, individuals are constantly pitted against one another, pushing themselves to outperform others at any cost. This unhealthy form of competition doesn't just fuel the desire for success, but it creates a mindset that sees others as obstacles or threats rather than collaborators or peers. As a result, individuals are often consumed by the need to win, ignoring the more important aspects of personal growth and the value of working together toward common goals. When we are trapped in toxic competition, we begin to define ourselves by how we rank in relation to others. The external validation of winning, receiving accolades, or being recognized as the best becomes the central measure of our worth. This causes a shift in focus where success is no longer about fulfilling our personal potential, but about surpassing the accomplishments of those around us. The constant drive to be better than others can leave us feeling unfulfilled and hollow, even if we achieve what we thought would bring us happiness. At the core of this unhealthy competition is the belief that someone else's success diminishes our own, which creates feelings of insecurity, jealousy, and bitterness. The negative effects of toxic competition extend far beyond the individual level, as it can breed an environment of distrust and division. When we view others as competitors, we often see them as threats to our success. This creates a culture where collaboration and cooperation are undervalued, and people are reluctant to share knowledge or help each other. Instead of seeing people as allies who can contribute to collective success, we begin to view them as rivals who may sabotage our progress. In workplaces, schools, or social settings, this kind of environment can lead to isolation, toxic relationships, and a lack of teamwork where individuals are more focused on individual achievement than the collective good. Toxic competition also fosters a fixed mindset, where individuals believe that abilities and achievements are limited and finite. When we are solely focused on winning or proving ourselves to be the best, we adopt the belief that success is a zero-sum game someone must lose for us to win. This mindset prevents us from viewing challenges as opportunities for growth or learning. Instead of embracing failure as a necessary part of development, we become paralyzed by the fear of not measuring up to others. We avoid taking risks or trying new things because we worry that we might not succeed and failure could tarnish our reputation or status. In this environment, mistakes are seen as weaknesses, and rather than growing from them, individuals strive to cover them up or avoid them altogether. This need to constantly compete can also lead to burnout. When we are focused solely on outperforming others, we push ourselves to extremes, neglecting our well-being in the process. The pressure to keep up with others can result in stress, anxiety, and exhaustion, which ultimately affects our physical and mental health. The constant drive to be the best also leads to a lack of balance, as we become so fixated on our goals that we forget to take time for rest, self-care, and the people who matter most in our lives. The pursuit of success, when it becomes a competition with others, can leave us feeling drained and disconnected from our true passions and desires. Furthermore, toxic competition often discourages creativity and innovation. When individuals are focused on winning at all costs, they tend to follow conventional paths to success that have already been tried and tested. This makes them less likely to take risks or think outside the box, as doing so might lead to failure or criticism. Innovation requires a willingness to fail, to experiment, and to learn from mistakes, qualities that are stifled in an environment dominated by toxic competition. In contrast, environments that prioritize collaboration and creative thinking allow for more experimentation, more freedom to explore new ideas, and ultimately greater innovation. When people feel supported and are encouraged to think freely without the fear of being judged or outperformed, they are more likely to take bold risks that can lead to breakthrough ideas and solutions. The effects of toxic competition are not only internal but also external. It impacts how we relate to others and can cause rifts in personal relationships. The desire to always win can make us less empathetic and more self-centered. We may stop celebrating the success of those around us, instead feeling resentful or threatened. This fosters an environment where people are less likely to support each other and more likely to compete for the same limited resources or recognition. When this happens, we lose sight of the idea that we are all part of a larger community, and that true fulfillment comes from helping one another grow, not from surpassing each other. In a world driven by toxic competition, people often fail to recognize that the success of others does not take away from their own. There is enough room for everyone to thrive, and working together can lead to mutual success, satisfaction, and fulfillment. To combat the destructive effects of toxic competition, we need to shift our focus from comparison to collaboration. True success is not about surpassing others or accumulating external markers of achievement. It is about personal growth, the ability to evolve, and to push through the boundaries we have set for ourselves. While society often defines success through the lens of competition, who has more money, more accolades, more recognition, true success is far more nuanced. It lies in the continuous process of becoming better than you were yesterday, in focusing on personal progress rather than the victories of others. At the heart of this idea is the understanding that growth is an ongoing process. There is no finish line where you can say, I have achieved everything I need to achieve. Rather, success is found in the small, everyday steps we take toward improvement, learning from our mistakes, and constantly striving to expand our potential. This means success isn't always a grand, external event, but a series of internal milestones that lead us to greater self-awareness, better decision-making, and deeper connections with others. This shift in perspective encourages us to let go of the need to compare our journey to someone else's. When we begin to focus solely on our own growth, we stop looking at others as benchmarks for success. Instead of asking, how can I be better than them, we start asking, how can I be better than I was yesterday? This mindset allows us to find fulfillment and satisfaction in our own progress, no matter how small or incremental it may seem. Success then becomes a deeply personal journey, and one that is ultimately more sustainable because it is rooted in our own unique needs, dreams, and values. When we focus on personal growth, the pressure to meet external standards dissipates. There is no longer the overwhelming fear of falling short, because the measurement of success is no longer defined by the approval or recognition of others. It's about doing what feels right for us, even if that path is unconventional or doesn't align with society's expectations. Success is defined by our capacity to keep going, to improve, and to stay committed to the process, not by the outcomes that the world deems worthy of praise. This removes the burden of having to prove ourselves, allowing us to focus more on the joy of learning, evolving, and becoming our best selves. Personal growth is inherently holistic. It's not just about achieving career success or financial stability. It encompasses all aspects of our lives, mental, emotional, and physical. When we start defining success as personal growth, we understand that it's about finding balance. It means being compassionate with ourselves when we face setbacks or when we don't meet certain goals immediately. It means acknowledging that failure is part of the process and that we are allowed to stumble along the way. In fact, failure is one of the greatest teachers we can have. It shows us where we need to grow, what we need to change, and it offers us the wisdom to move forward in a more grounded way. This understanding of success also requires us to redefine what it means to be truly successful. The pressure to achieve outward markers of success, high-paying jobs, popularity, or material wealth often leaves us feeling empty when we finally attain them. This emptiness comes from the fact that these external accomplishments do not bring true fulfillment if they are not aligned with our personal growth or values. True success comes when we feel content within ourselves, when we know we are constantly striving to be better and that each step we take, no matter how small, is meaningful. It's about finding peace within the journey itself, rather than waiting for some distant moment of perfection that may never come. In a world that is obsessed with external validation, it can be difficult to break free from the idea that success is only worthwhile if it is visible or recognized by others. However, when we shift our focus from external rewards to internal growth, we begin to see that success can be a deeply private, quiet process. It is about discovering our potential, tapping into strengths we didn't know we had, and building resilience when life challenges us. It's not about the applause we receive from others, but the sense of pride and satisfaction we feel when we know we've given our best effort. Moreover, personal growth enables us to become more adaptable. The world is constantly changing, and the ability to adapt and grow with it is one of the most important aspects of true success. People who are committed to personal growth are better equipped to handle life's challenges because they have cultivated the resilience, problem-solving skills, and emotional intelligence necessary to navigate adversity. This adaptability is not rooted in comparison to others or in the desire to outdo them, but in the recognition that growth is a lifelong process. It's about knowing that we will inevitably face challenges, but that we have the tools, mindset, and determination to rise to meet them. Focusing on personal growth also enhances our relationships with others. When we prioritize our own development, we begin to understand ourselves more deeply, which allows us to connect with others in a more meaningful way. We stop viewing people as competitors or obstacles and instead see them as fellow travelers on the journey of life. We recognize that everyone has their own unique path, and by supporting one another, we can create an environment that nurtures collective growth. This shift from competition to collaboration strengthens not only our relationships but our sense of community and belonging. One of the most beautiful aspects of focusing on personal growth is that it enables us to find joy in the process rather than in the end result. We can celebrate each small step forward, each moment of insight, and every challenge we overcome without waiting for some external recognition or achievement. This approach to success fosters a sense of gratitude as we come to appreciate not just what we've achieved but the entire journey we've traveled. It allows us to savor each lesson, each moment of growth, and each new version of ourselves that we discover along the way. Personal growth, unlike toxic competition, doesn't require us to devalue others in order to feel good about ourselves. Instead, it encourages us to value others for their unique journeys and experiences. When we stop comparing and start focusing on growth, we create space for the collective success of everyone. We become more empathetic, more understanding, and more willing to celebrate the victories of those around us, rather than seeing them as threats. This shift in perspective leads to a more harmonious and supportive world where people are empowered to pursue their own paths to success without fear or resentment. As we embrace the concept of success through personal growth, we begin to realize that our potential is not defined by a single moment or achievement. It is shaped by the choices we make every day, the lessons we learn, and the person we choose to become. True success is about becoming the person we were always meant to be, not a replica of someone else or a reflection of the societal standards that others impose upon us. It is the realization that we have everything we need within us to grow, evolve, and achieve greatness in our own way. Collaboration over competition is a powerful mindset shift that can transform not only our individual lives, but also the communities and organizations we are part of. The current societal framework often places a heavy emphasis on competition, where the individual is pitted against others, constantly racing to achieve success, recognition, and status. In this environment, people often view each other as rivals, and this dynamic breeds stress, resentment, and division. However, when we begin to view collaboration as a more valuable tool than competition, we unlock a world of possibilities where collective success and growth become the priority. At its core, collaboration is about working together to achieve shared goals, pooling resources, knowledge, and skills to create something greater than what could be achieved alone. It requires trust, mutual respect, and an openness to the ideas and perspectives of others. In a collaborative environment, success is not a zero-sum game where one person's win is another's loss. Instead, it is about finding ways to elevate each other, to grow together, and to create solutions that benefit everyone involved. When we embrace collaboration, we begin to see that the success of others does not diminish our own. Rather, the collective success of the group raises everyone to new heights. One of the most profound advantages of collaboration is the ability to combine different strengths and perspectives. Every individual brings something unique to the table, whether it's their skills, experiences, creativity, or insights. When people collaborate, they can complement one another's abilities, filling in gaps and offering new ideas that might not have emerged in a competitive environment. It is this diversity of thought and expertise that allows for more innovative and comprehensive solutions to problems. Whether in the workplace, in education, or in personal relationships, collaboration fosters an environment of continuous learning and improvement. People can learn from each other's strengths, offer constructive feedback, and help one another overcome challenges. In a competitive culture, there is often a fear of vulnerability, because admitting weakness or needing help is seen as a sign of failure or inadequacy. This fear of showing weakness leads people to become closed off, to keep their struggles to themselves, and to isolate themselves from others. However, collaboration thrives on vulnerability. It encourages individuals to be honest about their challenges, to ask for help when they need it, and to offer assistance to others without hesitation. By doing so, collaboration creates a supportive atmosphere where people can share their knowledge and skills freely, helping each other to succeed. It breaks down the walls of individualism and replaces them with a sense of community and mutual responsibility. Moreover, collaboration creates a sense of belonging. When people come together with a shared sense of purpose, they form bonds that go beyond mere transactional relationships. These bonds are rooted in trust, respect, and a shared commitment to the success of the collective. Collaboration fosters a sense of interdependence, where individuals recognize that they are part of something larger than themselves. This sense of belonging can have a profound impact on mental and emotional well-being, as it provides people with a sense of connection and support. It combats feelings of isolation and loneliness, as individuals no longer feel like they are on their own in their struggles or achievements. In contrast, competition often leads to isolation. When people view each other as rivals, they are less likely to share ideas, collaborate on projects, or offer help. Instead, they guard their knowledge and resources, fearing that sharing them will give someone else an advantage. This creates an environment of secrecy and mistrust, where individuals are focused on outdoing one another rather than working together to achieve shared goals. As a result, collaboration becomes more difficult, and the potential for collective growth and success is diminished. When competition is the primary mode of interaction, individuals are less likely to help others, as doing so could mean lowering their own chances of success. This can lead to a toxic culture of individualism, where everyone is out for themselves, and no one is willing to offer support or celebrate the success of others. When collaboration is prioritized over competition, the focus shifts from individual achievement to collective success. This shift can have a profound impact on workplace dynamics. In organizations where collaboration is encouraged, teams tend to work more effectively and employees feel more valued and empowered. Collaboration fosters a sense of ownership over projects, as individuals are more invested in the success of the team and the organization as a whole.